Today I'm giving recommendations for the prompts for the Back to Hogwarts Readathon. Welcome to Candlewick Library. I'm Cheryl. I have been so pleased with how much positive feedback we have gotten for the Back to Hogwarts Readathon. I was really hoping that this would be a readathon that would get people excited as I am about it, and being able to have conversations with the co-hosts has been so much fun, as they have all been really excited as well. So I'm so happy that you're here and that you're planning to read along with us. Today I have a ton of books to show you. I tried to get somewhere close to about 10 recommendations for every prompt. Some there are more than that, some there are less. There are going to be a lot of books that could be used for each one of these prompts that I'm not going to be mentioning because I only wanted to mention books that I own, that I have read. I'm sure that I missed some, and then also I did leave some off as I felt like I was getting too many for a couple of the prompts. If you want to give even more recommendations down in the comments for books that maybe I haven't read yet or that I forgot, I would love that. The more recommendations we have, the easier for a lot of people. I'm going to move really fast in this video because I have a lot of books that I want to get through and to share with you. So I'm going to start first with The Philosopher or Sorcerer's Stone. For this, the prompt is found family or boarding schools. I actually gathered books for either one of those prompts for that book. So I'm going to start with the found family aspect. For this, I have 9 suggestions, but I'm also going to add the 10th that you could read the first Harry Potter book. Mysterious Benedict Society. In this book, children respond to an ad placed in the newspaper and they are brought into the Benedict Society. This book can also be used for quite a few other prompts, so I will mention it again. Keeper of the Lost Cities. This could almost be used as a boarding school as well because the main character goes to live with people that aren't her original family, and then she goes to school, but she doesn't actually live in the school. But it definitely can be used for found family, not only with the people that she goes to live with, but also with the community that she creates in the series. A Place to Hang the Moon. This book is about children that have to be sent out from London during World War II. This was one of the first books I thought of when I thought of found family. The Family Under the Bridge. In this book, a struggling mother with 3 kids, they meet a homeless man under a bridge in Paris. I thought this was a cute story. My children didn't actually love this, but I've heard so many people rave about this book that I think a lot of people would love it. Another one I thought of immediately is City Spies because they create a family together. Another one I thought of immediately, of course, is Anne of Green Gables. Marilla and Matthew are not her parents, but they adopt her. If you haven't read Anne, it's not a typical adoption. They're not adopting her to be their child. They think that they're adopting a boy to work on their farm. So they don't know that they're going to become a family just because of the adoption. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Pill Pie Society. I've talked about this book quite a few times. It's one of my absolute favorites. And in this, a woman travels from London to Guernsey to meet with the members of a book club that started during World War II. And this group definitely have created a family with each other. I thought of Matilda as well. I struggle with some of these recommendations because I don't want to give away too much of the story. I'm assuming most people have read Matilda or seen one of the movie adaptations, but I believe that between at least 2 of the characters in this book, there is a found family. And then Baby Island, these young girls are put into a lifeboat with a bunch of smaller children. And so when the ship sinks and they end up on an island, they have to take care of the younger children. As far as the boarding school aspect, the Scandelous Sisterhood of Prickwillow Place. The main story here is where someone dies and the girls try to cover it up because they don't want to leave their school. Kind of a finishing school for girls. Jo returns to the Chalet school. So there is a whole series of books about the Chalet school, but this is the only one I've read so far. And this is a school for young women. And in this one, Jo used to be a student and she's returning to become a teacher there. The Sherlock Academy. In this book, children are going to this school to kind of learn how to become like Sherlock Holmes. And this one was not a favorite book, but it was a really easy read and I thought it was fun. If you're looking for a middle grade to read, or if your child is looking for a book and maybe they're in that age group, I think that they would really enjoy this one. I mentioned in my announcement video that the book doesn't necessarily have to take place at the boarding school. It could just mention that the kids go to a boarding school or they've just returned from one. And so Prince Caspian would count for this, as the very beginning of the book has them waiting for a train, and it says, the 4 of them were sitting on a seat at a railway station with trunks and playboxes piled up around them. They were, in fact, on their way back to school. And if you've read this before, you know what happens next. This book is not going to take place at a boarding school, but it does mention that they're on their way there, so it would count. The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane. And this gives off major Harry Potter vibes. This is a story of a young girl named Emmy, and her father has died, and her mother is very preoccupied with her own life. And so Emmy is shipped off to a boarding school in England. While at the school, she starts seeing symbols around the school and different things that lead her to believe that there is a deep secret and that maybe her father had been involved. This is a duology as far as I know. I don't think there's been a third book, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And I liked these books. They definitely remind me of Harry Potter, but they are a lot darker than Harry Potter. I don't remember there being any magic, but it's been a couple of years since I read this. I think it's just a mysterious society. The Explorer Academy, the Nebula Secret. You'll notice right away that this can be used for another prompt, and I will bring it back again. In this book, this young man has been accepted to go to this academy for explorers. This series of books was put out by National Geographic. I was kind of worried at what the content would be like in these books, but I actually really enjoyed the whole entire series. And I think that a lot of teenagers and middle grade kids would really love these. Midnight for Charlie Bone. These books are definitely Harry Potter adjacent. Charlie Bone is sent off to a school for gifted children, and he has some mysterious powers, and when he gets there, he starts to realize that the other children at the academy, some of them, also have mysterious powers. I read this whole series. I don't think it's nearly as good as Harry Potter, but it definitely gives off Harry Potter vibes, even down to what Charlie Bone looks like. Cambridge Hall, The Inventor's Secret. Again, you can see right away that this is going to be another book that could be used for another prompt. This school is very advanced, and they even can watch history as a hologram in their classes and see it exactly as it happened. And so there's a lot of really cool elements to this book. I don't remember if the school is actually a boarding school. I don't remember if they sleep over or not, because it's been a few years since I read it. I believe they do, but if not, I know that their family goes missing and that they are in the school trying to find out what's going on. And the last one for this prompt is The Princess Academy by Shannon Hale. In this, a bunch of girls are taken to a special school to be trained as princesses so that the prince can choose one of them to marry. For Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the prompt is a book with secret in the title or a secret in the plot. So for this, again, we could use The Inventor's Secret. You could also use books like Twilight, because the fact that they're vampires is a secret from the people that live in their town. So any book that has something like that, where you have a secret identity involved. We've got classics like The Secret Garden. Another thing that would work really well for a secret in the plot would be books that are about spies or secret agents. You have Beautiful Disguise by Rosanna M. White, and also her Culper Spy Ring series would work really well for that. And another book about the Culper Spy Ring is The Sherwood Ring by Elizabeth Marie Pope. Tolliver's Secret is about a little girl who finds out that her grandfather was a spy. It also takes place in the Revolutionary War, and she has to go on an errand for her grandfather pretending to be a boy. The Scarlet Pimpernel, secret identity. Nobody knows who the Scarlet Pimpernel is. You have The Secret Keepers. This is by Trenton Lee Stewart, the same man who wrote The Mysterious Benedict Society. He finds an antique watch that then leads him to more and more secrets. The sequel of Mystery of Black Hollow Lane is called The Secret of Whitestone Gate, and this just continues that story at the boarding school. The Strangers, this series is called The Greystone Secrets, and so it has that written on the cover. And this book is about a group of children who find out about that there's another group of kids that have been kidnapped that have their exact same names and birthdays. And The Secret of Platform 13. I thought this book was taking a lot from Harry Potter, and then I realized it was written earlier. It does have a very different storyline, but there are some really big similarities, including a boy who lives with an aunt and uncle and cousin who are not nice to him, and King's Cross Station. For Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the prompt is animal on the cover, and I think this is probably the easiest prompt. There are so many books that have animals on the cover. Some of the books I've already mentioned have had animals on the cover, and some books that I still will be mentioning throughout this video will have animals on the cover. So I just picked 10 basic ones, but this is one that I think you'll definitely have no problem finding. And when you see ones for the other prompts, if you do end up wanting to double up prompts, that might give you a good indication of ones that you see an animal on the cover that you know you can double up. The first one is Clockwork Sparrow. This has a little bird in the window, and this is about a group of kids who work at a department store and have to figure out a mystery there. The Bark of the Bog Owl has a hog and some alligators on the cover. This series is a retelling of David from the Bible. Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, this also could be a quest or journey, as Minley is going on a quest, and she is riding a dragon on the cover. The Incredible Journey. You can tell this book is pretty worn out. I've had it since I was about 8 years old, read it many times. I love the book, I love the movie, and it's about these two dogs and cat who go on a search to try to find their owner. So this could work for Journey as well. Charlotte's Web, of course. Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim. This is another book that had a movie adaptation made that I loved as a child, and I love this book even more. Any of the Paddington books would work really well. Animal Farm by George Orwell. Almost every edition has a pig on the cover. Farmer Boy is my favorite book, probably, in the Little House on the Prairie series, and this tells the story of Almanzo. And on this edition, there's some little cows on the cover. And any Winnie the Pooh book would be wonderful for this prompt. For Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the prompt is school spirit or a competition. I thought it was going to be much easier than it actually was to find a book about school spirit. And so I don't really have any books about that except for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. You could probably read old Archie comic books. I think there was a lot of school spirit in those comics and something like that. So if anyone has any ideas for school spirit, please leave those below, because I had a really hard time finding any that I have read that had that. But I do have a bunch of competition recommendations. Boys in the Boat. This is a nonfiction about some rowers who go to the Berlin Olympics in 1936. And the Olympics are a competition, so any book that has anything to do with the Olympics could work for this prompt. A Game of Hearts. This book centers around archery and an archery competition. The Hunger Games. Obviously, it's a competition. The Selection. In this book, America Singer is going to the palace to compete with a bunch of other girls for the heart of the prince. I remember really enjoying this series. I have read the sequel series and I did not like it. So I would only recommend the first part of the series. The Westing Game. No, this is not The Westing Game. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. It's kind of a strange competition, but the people are there trying to be the last one left standing. The Westing Game was another one of my favorite books when I was growing up. Everybody in this apartment building is partnered with somebody else in the apartment building and have to figure out clues, try to figure out who killed Mr. Westing. Book Scavenger. This is a really fun series. When I first discovered this, I knew that if this book had existed when I was a kid, it would have probably been one of my absolute favorite books. In this, they go online and find clues to where books are hidden. And so it is a competition to always try to be the first person to find the hidden book. And she did have a thing online on her website where you could go on and you could hide books and then leave a clue. And people could try to find it. I don't know if that's still going, but it's a really fun series of books. Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. These kids are all competing for a prize. I don't recommend every book in this series, but the first three I have and I liked. This first one I really loved. And then after that, I feel like they went a little downhill with each book, but this one in particular is really fun. And Around the World in 80 Days. In this, it is a competition to get around the world in a certain amount of time. This one could also be used for Animal on the Cover or a journey. For Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, it is a secret society or an uprising. For this, again, you could use Mystery of Black Hollow Lane, you could use Mysterious Benedict Society, you could use a lot of the books that were for the secret prompt. And a few others that I picked off my shelves. Johnny Tremaine. This has the Sons of Liberty, who were kind of a secret society, not a secret, not so secret society. Cinder. This is a fairy tale retelling. I loved the whole series, except for there were a couple of novellas that were written afterward, and I only read one of those that was, I think, Fairest. I didn't like. But the main books in the series I liked, and it's all fairy tale characters, and they are basically part of an uprising against the people that are trying to take power. Resistance by Jennifer Nielsen, and this involves different aspects of fighting up an uprising against Hitler. A lot of Jennifer Nielsen's historical fictions could be in this category. The Giver. In this, Jonas is part of a society that's very secret, and he starts to find out the secrets of the society he's living in. The Totally True Adventures, George Washington's Spies. I recommend all of the Totally True Adventure books, and since this one is about the Culper spy ring, then it could technically be for secret, but it also could be for a secret society. The Edge of Extinction, the Ark Plan. I talked about this one in my recent dinosaur video. This is a group of people who have moved underground after dinosaurs have been brought back. There are a few children who realize that there are some secrets going on in this community and they escape. For Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, the prompt is a number on the cover. I have quite a few for this as well, and again, keep an eye out for things that could be used for other prompts. I Was an 8th Grade Ninja. This is a story of a young girl, I think she's 13, who goes to live with her grandfather, and She is taking martial arts. There's a little bit of a magical realism to it, which I don't often like, but in this I liked it. It's a graphic novel. A Tale of Two Cities might be a little too long and dense for a readathon if you're trying to read other books, but it does have a number in the title. The 100 Dresses, which is a pretty short book and is about bullying. All 13 tells the story of the soccer team who were stuck in a cave in Thailand, and everybody came together to try to rescue them. There's also a documentary about this, or at least there used to be. I think it was on Disney, and it was really good. And the book is really good as well. Any of the books in the Five Kingdoms series by Brandon Mull. Like a lot of Brandon Mull's books, this tells the story of a character who finds a passage to another world that's more fantastical. You could go really heavy with something like 1776 by David McCullough or 1984 by George Orwell. I really enjoyed Eight Cousins and its sequel, Rose in Bloom by Louisa May Alcott. And two more favorites, 84 Charing Cross Road, about a woman who becomes connected to a bookseller in England, and they are all writing letters back and forth to each other. And The Vanderbeekers of 141st Street, which is the story of a family, the Vanderbeekers, and it's very heartwarming, and I've talked about this a lot on here, that this is one of our family's very favorite read-alouds. And then I also said there could just be a number on the book, and so I wanted to give two examples at least for that. When the Day Comes, it says book 1 right there on the cover, and then also has a 1 on the spine. Premeditated Myrtle also has a 1 on the spine, so anything like that can count. I forgot to mention that the Half-Blood Prince also could contain a battle, and I actually forgot to look for books that just had a battle. But that's a pretty easy prompt to think of as well. There's many of these that have battles. Pretty much any fantasy is going to have a battle, and any book about war. So any of these books I've recommended on here that are fantasy or 1776 or about the spy rings, they're going to have battles in them at some point. And for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the prompt is a journey or a quest. One good book where the main character is going on a journey is Treasure Island. Also, The Hobbit or any of the Lord of the Rings books would count. Touch the Top of the World. This is about a man who is blind and he decides to climb Mount Everest. And this is his memoir about that. So obviously he's going on a quest to get to the top of Mount Everest. The Heart of a Samurai. This takes place in 1841. And after a young boy is stranded on an island, he ends up going through quite a few adventures to try to get home. The Green Ember. The little bunnies in this are definitely going on a journey and a quest. This also would have battles in it. The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. The little bunny stuffed animal goes on a long journey that is also very character building for him. Going back to the Mysterious Benedict Society, book 2 is The Perilous Journey. This also has the number on the spine. The Doldrums are a series of books I haven't heard anyone talk about. I have only 2 of them, and I don't know if there's any more out yet, but this was a book that I bought strictly as a cover buy. And in this, a group of children go out on a journey to try to find some family members that are missing. This book has beautiful illustrations throughout the whole thing. So the inside kind of matches the prettiness of the cover. And then a recent favorite, A Lady's Guide to Marvels and Misadventures, where they are traveling around. This, I think I said in my video where I read this, that this kind of reminded me of Around the World in 80 Days. And this has been one of my favorite books so far this year. And then for the Cursed Child prompt, play a game of some kind or watch an adaptation. So I'll get back to that one in just a minute. The bonus prompt, where if you read a separate book for every one of these prompts, played a game or watched a movie adaptation, and then you did the HP in the middle, then you could find a book with H and P in the title, a book about magic, or read a Harry Potter book. So I have a couple of suggestions for that. Obviously, any of the Harry Potter books or The Cursed Child would work for that prompt. Also, the Aragon series has magic in it. The Fablehaven series and the Dragon Watch series, that's a sequel series to Fablehaven by Brandon Mull. These are really fun middle grade fantasy that would also have some magic and magical creatures in them. The Witch of Blackbird Pond doesn't have any real magic in it, but with witch in the title, I think it would count. Eva Evergreen, Semi-Magical Witch. This is about a young witch who has to go do the test of being a witch for a certain town. There's also The Witches. Of course, if you don't like the style of Roald Dahl's books, then you might not like The Witches. I think it's kind of a fun book. And the Dreamkeeper Saga. This is a very magical book with magical elements in it, dragons, another world. So anything like that would be able to count for that prompt. And of course, finding the letters in the title, that might be pretty easy. If you have anything that you're planning on reading, just check to see if it has those letters in it. Or like I said, just read one of the Harry Potter books if you're planning on reading them for the first time or a reread of them. Okay, so back to the Cursed Child prompt. So like I said, you could watch any of the adaptations of the movies. If you're lucky enough to live somewhere where you could go see the Cursed Child in person, that would count as well. And then there's games. I have been playing the Hogwarts Legacy game on the Switch. My husband got me this for Christmas. I'm not much of a gamer, and it kind of makes me dizzy. So I haven't got very far into this game yet, but it is pretty fun. You could also put together a Harry Potter puzzle. There are quite a few Harry Potter themed puzzles. And then we have a lot of games that are Harry Potter themed. One I could not find. I don't know where it is, but it's Harry Potter Seen It. That one is one that we've really loved. Harry Potter Codenames is really fun. This is a pretty old game, so it might be hard to find, but it's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone Mystery at Hogwarts game. It's kind of like Clue, but instead of being in a mansion, you're at Hogwarts, and the rooms are the different classrooms, and instead of the weapons, it's different spells. I have two that I haven't used yet that I'm going to be using with my youngest daughter in this upcoming school year. One is Serpents and Staircases. This is the Harry Potter version of Chutes and Ladders. You can also find some really expensive chess games, but you can also find cheaper ones. I found this one for under $20. It says Wizard Chess for Beginners. So it is made to look like the chessboard in Harry Potter, but maybe it's just not as good a quality as the expensive ones. I'm not sure why it was so much cheaper. Really, you could probably just play normal chess and count it, because chess is a big part of the first book. I don't think it necessarily has to be Wizard's Chess. And then another of my favorites is Trivial Pursuit Harry Potter Edition. If you caught the live sprint that Lucy and I did the other day, we were talking about favorite games, and I said that my favorite games tend to be Trivial Pursuit type games. I love trivia games of any kind. So that's one of my favorites. So I hope this has helped you to get your mind going and thinking about what you may want to read for the readathon. Sorry, I went so fast. If you have any more questions, let me know, and I can, in the comments, I can elaborate further on them. And again, if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments.